and never take the higher road. There's no hope for a narcissist, that's what I'm told. Trying to be the bigger person, man, it gets so old. And just hope for something to put her in check. And smash that ego, bring her down to reality where sanity is found. Instant karma, instant karma, instant karma, so I can see her.
Welcome. In this video, I'm going to cover a parental coordinator. Not so much all of the pros and cons about a parental coordinator, the risks versus rewards, but just what it is. I'm going to try to keep it simple as I can, and obviously based on my experience, so take it with a grain of salt or not, but I thought I would try to educate a little about just the basics of a parental coordinator. So a parental coordinator, not to be confused with a parental evaluator, who I'm also doing a short video on, but a parental coordinator it can either be a psychologist or an attorney, guardian ad litem, I think is what attorneys who represent children are called. That's basically what I have. I have an attorney who represents children, but I also had a PhD psychologist first. She was on our case for about 5 months and then recused herself, quit, and suggested this other parental coordinator who is an attorney. I'm sure differences to whether you get a psychologist or an attorney, but the parental coordinator's job is basically to ultimately help keep you out of court. It's sort of like a mediator. Ours was ordered on us. It wasn't a recommendation. It was something we were told we had to do by the courts. They're expensive. They're about the same cost as an attorney. So the first PC we had, it was, I think $320 an hour. And then the attorney we have now, he has a paralegal, so they do the same that attorneys do. If they have somebody helping, they can do lesser charge for paperwork, busy work. So, it's a fluctuating cost. But the first one was still very expensive, like a high-end attorney, so $300+ an hour. What I liked about the first PC we had was that after working with the parents, if the first one was a woman, if she viewed one parent as being the cause of the problem or in the wrong, ultimately she had the right to bill that parent for the conflict. So I felt like there was punitive damages that were available to the PC if they started seeing a pattern of a parent being funny, being complicated, intentionally trying to, be conflictual, or much less do something damaging and not in the best interest of the child. So I did like that clause. The second PC that we have now had different standards, different criteria, different contract. So both of them have you sign a contract at the beginning. Just like attorneys, they protect themselves from anything and everything. So even if they make a mistake, there's not much remedy you're going to get. And it's a contract. It's voluntary, sort of. Ours was court-ordered. But it's still something, when you get into signing, putting your name on paper, you either sign it or you don't. So if you sign, that is a contract. That's something, whether you agree with it or disagree with it, you're signing basically that you agree with it. So be mindful of your signature, what you do contract yourself into. That's a whole nother video. But I personally signed with both PCs that we had, the first one and the second one. I objected to it in court because it was forced on me and it was another bill. I'd already spent $100,000 and I was nervous about having more bills that I couldn't afford. I basically went bankrupt from my family court. So money aside, there's been lots of things about the PC that I appreciate. So having a mediator, having somebody that can help keep you out of court if you're in high conflict custody. I've been in court, I don't know how many times. I'd have to count. It's over 10, and my daughter's 4 years old. So over 10 times in 4 years. The PC can help minimize that. The first PC we had, that was her first communication, is that litigation and going into court and family courts don't help children at all. I really appreciated that comment, that declaration, and that her job was there to help us avoid being in court, because only we could help ourselves and our children. So that was a big part of her goal, was helping keep you out of court, which I'm for. I in high conflict custody cases, having orders, court orders, things that are backed by power and ultimately the state to protect you or enforce for people that can't find commonality and agreement between themselves as parents. It's kind of a necessary thing, you know. I'm not totally opposed to family courts. I think there's a lot of things wrong with them, but for people that can't work out their affairs on their own, you know, there's only so many viable options to help with people that can't find agreement. So a PC, being one of these people that have worked with thousands of couples, parents who can't get along, can't find agreement, and should have good experience. And I think, you know, all these people, I think, get into the industry with good intent, and they probably get jaded with how much downtrodden, angry, bitter, you know, malicious parents that they have to deal with. I can't imagine, just like psychology, I think probably has to wear on you, and it takes a really strong, ethical, not parent, but human with conviction and passion for healing and helping and transmutating conflict to really keep grounded, keep centered, keep a positive PMA, positive mental attitude. So I just don't belittle the parent coordinators, the evaluators, the judges, even the attorneys, you know, for how much condemnation and critique, positive and negative criticism I have for them. I'm still human, and I can put myself in other people's shoes. I try to, and just all people, I try to imagine if we knew their story, we'd have better empathy for whoever they are in the present moment. So the PC's job is like a mediator. They write ultimately recommendations for the court that the court can review. They have no judicial power, so they can't order you to do anything. Everything they do is a recommendation. It's kind of underlying that it's negative not to follow and listen to and cooperate with their recommendations. So that's the theory, is the PC is a trained, educated, good-intentioned third party who can be objective and basically mediate for you. And then if it comes back to litigation, hopefully save the judge time in just dealing with this person who's already been working with you. You only get so many hours in a hearing. And so the idea is that the parental coordinator will have time that you can't get in a hearing, so he can become more informed, he or she can become more informed and make a good recommendation for the best interest of the child. If you go back to litigation, the judge can look at it. They, as I was told, they typically really weigh heavy with the parental coordinator, so your odds of getting their recommendations overturned or show them to be not in the best interest of the child is going to be very difficult. The judge typically listens to the parental coordinator's recommendation. That's where I'm at right now. I'm going back into litigation in a high conflict custody situation. The parental coordinator, he's written, I think this is his third or fourth recommendation since he's been on our case. Some have gone, as I would say, her way. Some have gone my way. And I feel so far that he's been pretty objective and fair. I think he's not educated. You know, none of them are going to give you the time that you feel passionate about being a parent who's in a situation like this and being emotional. So just like the judges and the courts, you're never going to get these people to give you what you feel your family, the most important thing in your life, deserves. that being said, with what they give, I do feel like this guy, I think he's got a high caseload, so who knows how much time he could physically actually even give our case, but I don't think it's enough. I will say that for what we pay him, for what I think justice is, that you should have people in the system that have enough time to truly give proper due diligence. And I think these lawyers and parental coordinators, parental evaluators, which is a different thing, just don't have enough time. And that could be part of our fault for how much conflict we bring into these court systems, and some of that could be on them. That's debatable. I'm not going into all that. I want to stay kind of on point for just what the parental coordinator is. So it's basically a mediator that writes recommendations. To finish my thought, we're going back into court because he wrote a recommendation about a long-term parenting plan. The last time we left the court hearing, we were told, go to a parental coordinator, work with him, get a long-term parenting plan that you can either agree on or that he can recommend if you can't come to an agreement, and then bring it back to the court. The parental coordinator wrote something that, I think it's obvious, but I'm speculating that mother didn't appreciate, didn't like, didn't support, and so she petitioned. In this case, now they're questioning his qualification to make a recommendation. I think their argument is that he's not a psychologist, and so he doesn't really know the best interest of the child. All I know is this hearing has less to do with me and more to do with the parental coordinator that we both agreed to use. So it'll be interesting, but as I was told, typically judges hold a lot of value to the parental coordinator. So I'm going in with my fingers crossed, optimistic, going through what the parental coordinator job is, which is to get to know you, hear conflict. If you have conflict, you email them, plead your case, say what's going on. They can be copied on communication. I copy the PC on everything because every communication is high conflict. I record everything with a video camera because there is so much he said, she said in my case that I just never want there to be question. So I go through a lot of work to try to keep everything documented. This guy wrote a recommendation, and now we're going to go to litigation because we're not in agreement, and put it before the judge. So that's what a PC is. He's a mediator that gives you recommendations. If you can't follow, you still go back to litigation. They have no judicial power. Outside of that, judges give them a lot of sway in how they're going to rule on the case, typically. So that's what a parental coordinator is. I'm going to do another video on what a parental evaluator is, because they're different. So as all these videos, I'm just trying to share my case, why we need changes in the family court. I truly believe that we need tangible changes. I do videos on what those changes are, and I suggest this legal law review that I just think articulates simple positive changes really well. I'll put that in the link. Any questions you have, comments, other topics you want me to address, things you want to know about my case specifically. And obviously I don't give any legal advice. None of this is legal advice. Can't practice law, even though there's no law that says that, but I digress. I hope you all are doing well. If you're in a high conflict family court case, my heart goes out to you. I send you love and positivity, and I hope that as a collective, one, we take more responsibility for our own lives, and then two, we collectively work in a way that's peaceful and intelligent to have the best system we can to help us navigate through this world. So this is me trying to do one aspect of my part in doing that and creating that. I hope this finds you well. Rad Dad. Peace out.
It's all coming together right here now. It's all coming together right here now. It's all coming together right here. Who's that? It's love. Can you feel it coming through that? Conscious revolutionary music.